All right. Welcome back to another hour of Scotch Hour. This is Noah.
And this is Jesse.
Hopefully you had a great week. I know you did, actually.
Yes, I did. I hope you did as well.
Thank you, I did.
Scotch Review.
Tonight, I know it is the second round, right? Beginning of the second round.
Second round, okay. Game of Thrones. Yes, so Diageo's limited edition Game of Thrones scotches. Round one saw many victors and many fallen scotches as well. The first two victors from the first round, Oban, Night's Watch, and...
Ooh, I like the Night's Watch.
Yeah, and the Talisker Select Reserve.
That was good, too.
These were both amazing scotches, so it's going to be an interesting tasting this evening, and I'm looking forward to it.
I am too, actually. I'm looking way forward to having these go up against each other. I'm kind of scared that we might have to do our first flip.
I don't think so. I don't know. Just thinking back to some of our previous notes on these, and it's interesting because sometimes they do change as they've been open and had a chance to breathe. The Oban, so smooth in that, really, I just want to call it that maritime flavor. The Talisker definitely, from what I remember, a little bit more on the leather side, but not super heavy. It's going to be, they are pretty different scotches.
They are. I think, traditionally, I guess, like if I didn't know any better, just if I was just a person who watches the show, I would probably say like, well, because the Talisker has like that leather smell and all that stuff, that'd be the one that Jesse would go with, and because the Oban probably has that more maritime, that'd be the one that I would go with. But now they've had time to sit open for a couple of weeks, obviously with the corks in them. But I mean. We'll see how these turn out. Yeah,
let's do the Oban.
Oban was round one.
All right,
or the first one of round one.
That's right. All right, you guys. If you've been watching, you'll remember this bottle. This is a very handsome Scotch bottle.
I love that bottle.
I do too.
I mean, I think part of like my points go to the bottle itself. Yeah. I mean, because it is one of the more unique bottles out of the whole series.
It is, and they even have like the etching around the top here.
Exactly.
Just well done.
And you can see, like, if you really want to see what the etching looks like, if you turn over the backside, you can see it right there. Turn around, yeah. So you can kind of see like the design that they have on the bottle right there with all those symbols.
All right, a little Oban Night's Watch single malt Scotch whiskey.
Nice. I mean, unless it's the glasses, I'm going to say that the Night's Watch, the Oban, has just a slightly darker amber color to it.
Yeah, I agree. A little bit more gold, if you will.
Yeah, just slightly. Not by a ton. Maybe by like a hue or two.
Yeah. One thing to remember as well, the Oban Night's Watch, 43% alcohol by volume. The Talisker was one of the heavier ones at a 45.8, so almost 3% more alcohol.
Oh, okay. I did forget about that. And with Oban, remember, it's one of the oldest distilleries there. It hasn't really changed at all. No updating to their distillery.
That's right.
200 and some odd steps away. I think it's like 280 steps away from the ocean.
And a beautiful bay. The distillery resides in a beautiful bay.
I don't remember all the history and stuff that goes along with Talisker, though.
Yeah, it's I don't know that we ever dug into it as deep because the Oban just really drew our attention for so many different reasons.
I'm telling you, you smell the Talisker, you get that wet leather. Like if you have some of those like the driving gloves in the wintertime, or like nice leather dress gloves that you wear with an overcoat.
Oh,
And it gets kind of wet from the snow and stuff like that.
yeah.
That's exactly what this Talisker reminds me of.
Yeah, the Talisker reminds me. I don't know if I've ever shown it to you. I have a goat suede jacket made by Hugo Boss, fitted, beautiful. That's what this Talisker reminds me of, and I love that smell. Just don't want my jacket getting wet, right? It's goat suede, but just a couple drops of rain falling on it, amazing. All right, so for me again, the nose on the Talisker definitely got the leather. You don't get that maritime scent that you get from the Oban, very much a maritime from the Oban Night's Watch.
I want to say it's like a slight musk with maritime on the Oban. Maybe I'm like way off on that.
I don't think so. That first sip of the Oban, that little bit of citrus right at the front.
Mm-hmm.
Nice long body, maritime. You get a little bit of that cask, the oak.
Yeah.
Not too much though. And then it just like rides comfortably into the sunset.
That's a great way of putting it. I mean, you do get that citrus right up front. You do get the maritime throughout. And it finishes with just that nice maritime mixed with the smoky oak.
Mm-hmm.
Not heavy smoke, but very, very like very like
Very light.
very light.
Mm-hmm. That is a good Scotch. Thank you, Oban, for this night's watch. Time to do the duel. Bringing out the Talisker.
Cheers.
Not so bottoms up. Super interesting because even though it's a little bit higher in alcohol, it doesn't punch you at the front. It's kind of in the middle.
Yeah, it punches you like mid to back.
Yeah, this is like, Fury round 11.
There's a really interesting interview between Fury and whatever the guy's
Wilder,
where Fury tells Wilder, "I fought you in Dusseldorf," and if you go back, there was never he never fought him in Dusseldorf.
Yeah,
he fought Klitschko in Dusseldorf.
Interesting.
And then, but you have to like really listen to the interview to understand what he's talking
about a mental game, not a.
No, not at all. In fact, it will relate to our topic
All
tonight.
All right. So a little bit of the afterworld, or we'll get there.
Afterlife.
The floral. There's that little bit of floral at the front of the Talisker with the leather. Really enjoying that leather. It's actually pretty smooth as well.
It's really mild up front. You can pick up a little bit of that floral that you mentioned. I think you start picking that up more in the mid palate, and then that wet leather or that earth tone, it pops you right there, when you start the finish.
Going for round 2 with the Oban, retasting, really getting some great citrus notes. Followed by that wonderful maritime flavor.
You know what I got the second time around?
What's that?
Other than the citrus, is like a slight vanilla.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right there at the beginning.
Yeah.
After moving back from the Talisker to this.
Yeah.
This is a tough one. I know which way I'm going to go, but it's tough. It really is.
It is a good creamy vanilla, but I am still enjoying. I do enjoy, like they're both great in different ways. I'm enjoying the Oban's. I'm going to say punch. It's not kicking me. It's not like a goat.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I think with the Oban, I think the reason why I like it more is more because of the complexity and more of the balance that it does have. Not saying that the Talisker doesn't have complexity in it. It's just that it has that little bit of a kick, which, I mean, maybe some drinkers do enjoy that. And actually, if we weren't comparing these side by side, I would really like the Talisker, and I like how it does have that that earthy kick at the end when you start that finish. But comparing them side by side, I just like the more balanced complexity of the Oban all the way through.
And that's a tough one because I agree with you. It is more balanced. I would say consistent is a good word for it through. Not that the flavors don't dance on my tongue. I love the fact that the flavors dance on my tongue. To your point, this last sip I had, this last taste, very small one, it was a very creamy vanilla. It's also present, but in a different spot in the Talisker. In the Talisker, it's kind of mid to end, and with the Oban, it's more at the front. You get that. I don't know if it's quite orange. I'm going to say it is orange. Citrus immediately followed with that little vanilla, and it's almost creamy. I'm not going to say it's oil and it's coating anyone's tongue here, but it's almost creamy.
I would say like an orange cream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Orange cream followed up with that sea salt, light caramel, sea salt, and oak.
Yeah.
And it's just really you just pick it up like you can. It doesn't. And here's what I'm saying about like when I'm saying balance, you don't really feel like a big bump up. It's like it flows. Like it's like, okay, I got this. Now I'm going to this. Now I'm going to this. And there's not a spike up or a dip down. And that's what I'm talking about when it comes to a balance. Here on the Talisker, it's like it starts off mild and then it kind of builds into the mid. And then there's like a boom on the finish. Mm-hmm. So if you want a Scotch that is not going to go quietly in the night.
I like that.
I think I would go with the Oban. Not the Oban, but the Talisker.
Yeah, it's the
But
nice
if you
one.
want, if you want more the ninja approach, where it's not going to make a racket somewhere all the way through, I think the Oban is the better way to go.
I like that. I like the ninja metaphor. I really do. So, we got a samurai.
Not going quietly in the night, and we got ninja.
That's right. Night's Watch Ninja. All right. I'm going to start making a decision here. I'll tell you, it is a tough call. It really is.
It is. I mean, they're both great. That's why I'm saying it's a tough call, but I already know which way I'm going to go.
Now, one of the things that talking about my own journey through life and through Scotch was when I first started Scotches and started really tasting them for more than just a drink, a bar or a house, a friendly occasion. I started with Lagavulin, and then for a multitude of reasons, but also because part of its area, went to a Talisker, and I've really enjoyed Talisker scotches because of that leather, because of the peat, the little bit of smoke, not heavy in those areas, not like a smokehead, thank God, which has its place too, but not here. And the Talisker is great. I really enjoy, if I'm just out at a pub and I'm getting, I'll tell you what, if I'm getting a burger or a hot dog, I might go Talisker. But if I'm getting something I'm really craving, I'm going to Elway's and I'm getting their calamari or the Barola Grill calamari, it is Oban all the way.
I know she did like a new background here with I think a straight line of Lagavulin.
I do like the Lagavulin.
Yeah, I don't think, has it been that way before?
We had some changes with the green screen, so they were more of an angle over here in the past.
Okay, I guess I just don't remember the far right Lagavulin.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, the Distiller's Edition.
Is that a newer one?
No.
Okay.
No, that one's been around, but that one can be really hard to find.
Okay. Because I now see you have like the 8, the 9, the 11, the 16, and then the double, is it double mature?
Yeah. It's a good one. We've shared it once, but it's been a while. It's been a hot minute. I mean, shoot, we've gone through probably 60 scotches since then.
I don't know how many scotches we've been through, but I believe
on the show we're talking at least 39, 40.
Yeah, At least. I'm not sure at what point one becomes an expert. But maybe, you know what I was thinking about? Maybe in sometime down the line, because we really do have to come up with our own rating system. right?
Radiant scale, yeah.
Or our own scale. And along with it, I was thinking like we need to find something that has like all the scents that go along with the scotches, as well as like a color wheel or something.
Yeah, I fully agree.
I mean, we do have like little tasting books, but they don't really show you the colors, so you kind of have to guess.
Yeah. I do enjoy, even though they are very close, the Oban's color is much more attractive to me, much more attractive. And for me, that's a big deal. Interestingly enough, one of my favorite scotches to this day is still the Lagavulin 8. And it is pale in comparison. Just the color itself is pale in comparison. Flavor is a whole different story, but this Oban's color is great.
I think it's a great color.
Yeah, I like it. I want to hold a scotch that color.
And as I was mentioning, I think it's just like a few. Is it hues? Is that what they call them?
Yeah.
Just a few, like just a couple of degrees in hues darker.
Oh yeah. All right. This is a tough one.
I'm just telling you, man, all the way through, there's not a big spike. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's a big thing for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mentioned that a lot of times in the past too. But I'm also the same way when it comes to my wines. I like very like old world style European wines that have like much have like a ton of complexity to them. Which is why when you look at European wines, there's usually they're usually blends to give you that complexity, and I definitely like the the moss and the old the wet leather and wood and stuff like that from wine, which you would think would make me be more of a wet leather type of guy here with the scotches, but I do like them. Mm-hmm. But I also like them being just no big punches.
Yeah. Isle of Skye.
Is that where Talisker is from? The Isle of Skye?
From, yeah.
Okay.
And it's the western Isle of Skye, characterized by wave-battered shores. So a little bit much calmer waters, but both of them on the water, so to speak. I'm going to stick with what I said. If I'm drinking a scotch with a burger or a brat, I would go with the Talisker. If I'm going with anything that is much more complex food, like your bison sloppy joes, for example. Oh my goodness! No, you guys, he's over here laughing.
My
Best
bison sloppy
joes you have ever had. So it's in the cookbook. It'll be coming. Get ready for it. Red bell peppers and onions sauteed in butter and scotch, and that flavor in the peppers changes the world of a sloppy joe. The bison itself does a lot, but man, just changes the world of a sloppy joe. So get ready for that in the cookbook. If I'm eating something that's got that complexity, the flavors of, again, and I go back a lot to like seafood, and
talking about seafood, just talking about that complexity though, that's also why I like having the Irish cheddar with it.
I know, yeah. You guys mind blown when you see these things. These sloppy joes are not your mommy's sloppy joes, unless your mom is Noah.
I hope that is not the case. I have no little mini me's running around as far as I know. If I do, she never told me about it.
All right. We won't blame her. Yes, we will. He needs an heir to his throne. All right. Yeah. For me, this last sip sealed the deal. And I do love the Talisker, but it is Oban for me. If I'm going to be sitting there,
we're voting now.
Oh man, I'm telling you, we should revisit it at the end. But right now, if I was casting a vote, it's Oban.
I'm cool casting the vote. Mine's Oban.
And again, I love this.
And that's not trying. I'm not trying to take away from Talisker because I'm telling you, it is a close decision.
Yeah,
it is a lot. I was pretty worried about it, and knowing this, I am like if. and I'm not really sure, but I'm pretty sure it will, but I'm not positive. But if Lagavulin wins the next round, or in the next,
Oh yeah.
then we have your like one of your favorites versus one of my favorites,
Yeah.
and
This is like the origins.
it's like origin story battling it out. It's like
literally.
really, I think that's gonna be the championship one, as opposed to like the Mortlock, which we haven't even tasted.
I know.
We have no idea what the Mortlock.
Oh my
is
goodness. It's a Mortlock 15. It's
Supposedly, it's supposed to be good though.
yeah, it's supposed to be great. We're gonna find out. We're gonna be like, God damn it.
And when you look at price wise too, like here's the funny part.
Oh yeah.
When you look at the Mortlock 12, that's what, like $50, and then when you go to the Mortlock 16 or something, it jumps up to like 100 and something.
Yeah. The price more than doubles for a couple of years, which is common amongst many scotches, but not normally that age.
Not that age, and not that big of a jump between like 3 years or 4 years.
Yeah,
I would
normally.
think.
Yeah, and, like the 8 Lagavulin, for example, usually right around that $80 mark. And then depending on what you're buying, if you're a Total Wine being smart guy buying the Lagavulin 16, you're only paying $15-20
That's
more.
8 years.
I know, that's what's crazy.
And you're talking about what, 20 more bucks?
And a huge difference in flavor.
Yeah.
Massive.
And now you're talking about going from like what 60, 50, like $50
Yeah.
up to like 120 or something,
Yeah.
130. I forget
Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah.
With that Mortlock 16.
Yeah, it was at least 120. It might have been 150. It was wild. We were both like, what?
Yeah, like how do you
12
make
to
that,
15?
like how do you make that big of a jump in the cost on that? But, so it better be good.
Yeah.
Well, I know that one right there. That 15-year was like a 120,
Yeah.
130.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily. All right.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
this last couple of sips, though, with the Oban really sealed the deal.
all right, Oban it is.
And for me, the reason is, as it has had this chance to breathe in this glass, from start to finish, I get that the nose is great. The flavor, when it hits my tongue, it's that creamy orange vanilla that just, again, it's like just rides into the sunset. It's great. It's not short. It's not overbearing. There's, to your comment, no spikes. It's very
Really no
consistent.
spikes or dips.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great.
Because like there's somewhere where it'll be solid in the mid, front and mid, and then it dips.
Yeah.
And the finish, you're like, what happened there? Yeah. Or there's ones that are like, spike up front and then dips in the mid and then spikes up again in the back. And you're I don't like that.
No.
I want that body all the way through.
Yeah.
And here, this is like really nothing up front on the Talisker, really mild on the front, really low. And it kind of builds.
Mm-hmm.
The mid goes up a little bit, but not like a huge spike. But then the back end, it definitely pops.
Yeah.
It will not go silently in the night, but it is tonight.
It's time for our shout outs.
You could talk briefly about your
Yeah.
trip and talk about some of the shout outs you want to give to some of those establishments that you went to.
Yeah, I think I don't want to spend the whole 20 minutes on it or anything, but I will mention, as you mentioned, road trip. Started out through Kansas, and it was an interesting road trip. One thing I would say is it was very eye-opening to see how different states, different cities within states, economies had been impacted, some much more drastically than others because of all the things going on in the world right now. And when I was driving through Kansas, no joke, I'm looking for a place to eat. I'm like, restaurants near me, and literally went to 7 places that were all closed until I finally drove way out of my way and found a little restaurant, Bella's Italian Bistro in Kansas. And the shout out goes to these waitresses and the cook who clearly were in an area that has been hit financially, but they had smiles on their faces. They gave great service. I won't try to say that it was the best Italian food I've ever had, but what I will say is their stuffed mushrooms with Alfredo sauce. The mushrooms had some crab meat in it, which really added a unique and great flavor. And then the white Alfredo sauce had shallots in it, which gave that sauce a really good flavor. The two together were dynamite. They were a win. So that was.
I've been wanting to ask this question since the first time you told me about this. Do you think by them putting that was it you said the shrimp inside
The crab?
the crab? Do you think it's because the owner of the place or whatever was Asian?
So it is very interesting because, we find the one Italian restaurant and the owner and cook was Asian, and it was interesting. I don't know if that's
It's like like an Italian Asian fusion restaurant.
It was wild. It was kind of like mind blowing when I saw him come out, and I'm like, wait, Italian? Just not what I expected. It was great. I don't know if that's why or not, his fusion of the two foods. The rest of the dinner was good. It wasn't great. Those mushrooms, though, were the win. They were great. If that's how he did it, like that's why he did it, hey, man, 2 thumbs up. Shout out to you. I was hungry by the time I finally got to the 8th restaurant and you were in. I appreciated that. Going through, also interesting, Kansas, lots of where we were, friendly people, getting to Missouri, and then of course, particularly Kansas City, Missouri, Tomstown Distillery, stopped there, had an amazing bartender make me some fantastic beverages, drinks, and one of them, I'm not a cold brew guy, but he put some of their house bourbon, shook it up with cold brew and a little bit of a nitro coffee, shook it up, poured it in the glass, and it was amazing. Again, I'm not a cold brew guy. I'm not really a huge coffee alcoholic beverage guy. That was a win. Great time there. Barbecue there. Amazing. Definitely don't want to miss that. And continued along the way. The folks, the people we met in Indiana. When I was in Indiana, the people I met there were great. The people in Michigan were amazing. I gotta say it though, one thing that blew my mind about Indiana was in a bar, and there are people around me smoking inside in the bar, and I'm like, when did this become a thing again? And one of the guys literally said, "Oh, well, there's a family-friendly side over there where you can't smoke or cuss, but you can do both of those things over here." And I'm like, all right, well, fuck it. It was cool though, but Indiana was great. Went and visited some lighthouses, fantastic. Nebraska coming back through. People were really friendly. They seemed to be doing all right. Kansas, Nebraska, not far away from each other. Nebraska seemed to be doing all right though, and I don't know if it's a difference in different pieces of the economy, the work ethic, other things. Every restaurant I went to there was still in business, and it was great. And then the last shout out I'll give is I'm not a mule drinker. I don't, I'm not here about the mules, those drinks, never been a big thing to me. But stopped at a place called Brick Iron Bar, and this was in Iowa City. And holy smokes, this guy makes, and 3 of the ingredients, of course. So he's had Saint Germain, lime, which is delicious, but he makes this mule that was to die for. And so cheers to him. I was so impressed. It was amazing. But lots of shout outs there. Lots of great food, great times. For everyone who mixed me those great drinks or showed me hospitality, lots of hospitality, and I appreciated that. So I was happy to give you guys my business.
I'm gonna do a shout out to the Black House there in Parker. I went there for Sunday brunch and had a wonderful brunch there. They had great service. The wait staff was Johnny on the spot. Didn't have to wait for anything. They came out, filled up my drinks right away. They saw them getting low. The service was like, they were super friendly, and so I would highly recommend going there. And apparently, I caught the very tail end of it, but Parker does have a farmers market there, and hopefully. Maybe this upcoming Sunday, I'll catch it there early enough.
Yeah.
I always like going to a farmer's market. Sometimes you can find some cool, some amazing food.
Oh, yeah,
especially directly from the farmers rather than going to the grocery store. All right, where do we go for dinner? We're ending the shout outs here. We're going to dinner.
Oh, man.
Where do we go?
Well, it wasn't the doghouse.
No, it wasn't Doghouse. I think it's called Mike Chicago's Dogs or something like that.
Yeah, I've got a picture right here. It is Chicago Mike's.
Chicago Mike's,
yeah,
okay.
And dogs and beef.
Dogs and beef.
Great. We had a poor experience. Part of it, I'm sure, was because we just set our expectations really high about a month ago. But great Chicago style hot dog was perfect.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get if you're looking for a Chicago style dog, it's actually pretty good. The one place in the whole Denver metropolitan area I definitely would recommend going for a Chicago style dog is Mustard's Last Stand.
Absolutely.
But this is a pretty good Chicago dog.
Yeah.
So I would, and then their chili fries were pretty good too. It was I would say I'm not sure if they're just the workers there or whatever, but they seem pretty much on the ball.
Yeah, they were great. The one thing I would say is you don't go there looking for a beer.
No, yeah.
But if you are looking for great prices, they had them.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna pay a little bit more than you would if you want a cheap dog or something. But it is less than the Doghouse. And I think it tasted better than the Doghouse.
A lot. It was much more impressive. It was, again, it was perfect. It was a perfect Chicago style hot dog.
I agree. And I think even the atmosphere there wasn't as far as the ambiance, very much that they're from Chicago or something because they had a ton of Chicago stuff up there on the walls. Yeah. And in fact, I would almost think there are people from Chicago that go there because there's a table next to us that they're talking about places in Chicago.
I mean, yeah. When I was in Chicago this past week, Portillo's Italian beef, amazing. I could literally give shout outs for it. This is why I have to stop.
All right.
Did I tell you the funny story about that sandwich I ordered? I thought I was getting a combo. So to me, a combo meant I was getting a sandwich and fries and a drink. So I ordered the combo, and then it gets served, and I'm like, why does my Italian beef, like a Philly cheesesteak kind of, why does my Italian beef have a sausage link in it? That's the combo. Where are my fries? No, you got the two meats. It's huge. That's what she said.
No, you did not tell me that story.
Dude, it's awesome.
Smarter challenges.
Witches and Witchcraft and how it relates to Game of Thrones.
Yes. So, the relating to Game of Thrones piece, obviously we saw some great episodes where there was the Red Witch and she was using a little witchcraft, sorcery, whichever you might want to call it. Definitely, and you had pointed this out before, that there were comets and stuff going through and they used that as one of their signs that this is the time. But for me, the biggest thing about witches and witchcraft is more of really the origin. So there's Wiccan all over the place. Let's face it. People were still practicing this. It's still a real thing. There are witches, warlocks, and most of them, though, it's not this, to me, I'm sure there's some of them out there trying to practice dark magic, but to me, that's not the piece. And when I think of a witch, to me, it's more of them really using a scientific end, trying to heal or improve upon things, create better situations, make a change. And, you've got stories, some of the oldest witch stories are actually from in the Bible where there was, let's see, which one is it? I actually have it here. King Saul sought out the witch of Endor to summon the dead prophet Samuel. And he wanted to hear, hey, tell me, Samuel, how am I going to win this fight? And when Samuel did awaken, when he was brought out, and became present, he's like, yeah, it's King Saul, you and all your sons are going to die. And the very next day on the battlefield, his sons were killed and he committed suicide. So there are different pieces, but we're talking, this is quite some time ago. And this is, that book was written, I believe it was right around 620, 750 BC. Then you fast forward to a little bit different history, a different darker history, if you will, Europe. And you got the 1400s, and witchcraft becomes a thing to them, and they don't like it. They're like, man, these women are evil. And it was mostly women at that time. And they started hanging them and burning them and doing these things. And
Do you think it was mostly women, or do you think it was just them picking on women?
dude, I think I think it was them picking on women. The part that's tragic is they're getting these women to confess witchcraft by torturing them. And if any of you guys, and I know you probably have, Noah, if any of you guys have gone to a library and looked at how they tortured these women, dude, that was wrong. Like, not that any torture is right, but that was literally wrong. It was terrible. It was absolutely mutilating, and honestly, I think half of them probably would have died from the torture alone and the ramifications of those tortures, let alone being burnt or hung. In the peak between right around 1500 to 1650 in Europe, they estimate that nearly 80,000 people, 80,000 women really, were either hung or burnt at the stake for witchcraft. And we're talking about like 150 years, 80,000 people. Germany was the greatest offender. They slaughtered the most, if you will, killed the most. Ireland, of course, which is interesting because I think you've told me a few stories about redheads from Ireland. But Ireland was the least to convict any.
Most of the women I knew in Ireland either had like black hair with blue eyes, or they're blonde.
Yeah, it's the blonde. I was just throwing the red out there. It's my kickback.
I know you and Brian like redheads.
My kickback. That's my kickback to Aaron. Thank you, Aaron.
I'm more of a blonde guy. I like blondes.
All right, man. I got nothing against that.
And brunettes. Don't get me wrong. I like brunette. I like dark hair.
But tell me your side of witchery and witchcraft.
Well, I wasn't really going to go down like the history side so much, but like when we look at the Game of Thrones, the Red Witch, I'm not sure if she, when she first creates, like she first hangs out with Stannis Baratheon, and there's a battle of the kings. There's actually a battle, like there's like basically four kings, I think, directly at that point, because you had the King of the North, you had the Joffrey, who was the bastard son of the Lannisters, basically, but he thought he was a Baratheon, but he wasn't. Then you had Stannis Baratheon, which is the older brother of Robert Baratheon, and then you had the younger brother of Baratheon. And Stannis and the younger brother went to battle against each other, or they're about ready to go to battle. And so Stannis ends up having intercourse with the Red Witch and also kills somebody. So I think it's basically like blood magic, really, that's happening here. And when he does that, there's like a shadow baby. I don't know how else you would call it. I mean,
just to clarify, intercourse is not the same thing as outer course. Shadow baby.
I don't know. What would you call it?
No, I agree. It was like some shadow demon baby thing.
Right? She like gives birth to like some kind of shadow demon.
It was
baby
cool,
thing.
Man. Like I want to be there and see that. I don't want to be a victim.
So the shadow baby thing kind of goes into the younger Baratheon's tent and his side of the war camps, and ends up killing him.
Yeah.
Then I think later on we see the Red Witch up at the wall when they're basically getting ready to help out the Night's Watch versus the Wildlings.
Yeah.
And she ends up taking off her necklace. So she had some kind of like glamour magic going on to where it made her look really young, but she's like super old. And she also did some other kind of magic that brought Jon Snow back to life after he died. So this is how we are tying this all kind of back into our smarter challenge here. And what I have going on here
Yeah.
is when we talked about some of our past topics, when we brought up like Tartaria, they talked about how the Celts use magic. So it would stand a reason why the people in Ireland were killing witches or whatever. But then we also have Thoth and the Emerald Tablets, which also takes us to alchemy. And with alchemy, the symbols that they use in alchemy is also a lot of the same symbols that they use in witchcraft. And you when you start like looking at symbols and understanding symbols, you start seeing things. So, like for instance, when it comes to witchcraft, when they make from my understanding, when they do their setting, I'm not sure what is it called, maybe like their table or whatever, but they have like their cauldron, but they also have like different things on their mat or whatever. So to the south, which in our case this is why I have it up over here, because I was asking where the directions are. The symbol for the south is fire, so that's the element that relates to the south, and that's where you will call upon that power. And it's the triangle with the apex to the top.
Okay.
Then when we look to the west, that's water, and that's where the triangle is upside down. And then to the north is earth. And if you ever look at Conoco symbol, what is it?
Yeah, it's pretty much that symbol.
It is exactly that symbol, except it says Conoco with the line inside the line. So right there, there's alchemy that we see, or you can even say possible witchcraft, right? And then to the east is wind or air. And then when they set up their I forget what it's called.
Cauldron?
Not their cauldron, but it's like their kind of like their ritual table or whatever. But they might have a candle here, and they might have like a cup of water or something that represents water here, and then like a stone or something that represents earth, and then they'll have like a feather or something like that over here, and then in the middle, you'll have the symbol for spirit or ether, and so when they create their spells, you'll be calling upon that. And then there's also the different moon cycles that they bring into it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which we will be talking about astrology here soon. And astrology all plays into this, as well as like when we look at tarot cards and oracle cards, you will also see the symbology that you get from alchemy on those cards as well.
Yeah. It is pretty interesting and fascinating when you understand that there is some base to it. It's not something new. It's not something old. Again, it may have been used for evil purposes. You could argue, though, how it was really mostly used for positive purposes, healing and other things. When we were talking about it a while back and we were talking about this subject in general, we really also brought up in the past a lot of kings had wizards. So they used these wizards. What is a wizard? It's a warlock. It's a male witch in essence. The warlock typically has a negative connotation to it, but it's the same thing. They're using the same pieces. They're doing all the same things. And ultimately it's to make a change.
Yeah. And I think one has to be careful with witchcraft in general. I mean, I understand, like, when you look at, like, the Wiccans in general, a lot of times, I think there's different types of levels. A lot of Wiccans that I've come across, they tend to, they're like tree huggers, really.
Yeah.
I mean, they do follow the signs, or they do, like, celebrate the different, I don't know. I think they call them satanic holidays.
Pagan.
Well, some of them are pagan, some of them are satanic.
Okay.
But and some of them do coincide. But even if you look in Christianity, there's pagan holidays there. I mean, Christmas is a pagan holiday, and actually resurrection, which is Easter, that's a pagan holiday. So it's so I think when you look at it, I think it's the type of witchcraft that you're looking at. There's some of them use it to, as you mentioned before, like in the past, where it might have been used for good for healing purposes. And then there's also blood magic. When you start working with blood magic, then you're dealing with like evil spirits and stuff like that. There's definitely a more sinister type of magic out there. You can do some research looking into Aleister Crowley. Some people think he's a good guy. Some people think he's a really, really bad guy. I'll leave that up to whoever wants to do their research and look up Aleister Crowley. But he has written a lot of books about witchcraft and astrology and stuff like that. If you look at some of the things that we are learning about today with some of the with our political elites, our world elites, and the whole like pedophile stuff and things like that, a lot of them seem to link back towards Aleister Crowley. So, and blood magic. But like I said, you could do that research and find out that information for yourselves. But I do think I'm not saying I'm for or against witchcraft. I think one has to, I guess, determine that for themselves. I mean, because like you mentioned before in the Bible, it is mentioned there. But I do believe, I think in the later it says like don't even mess with it.
It does. It absolutely is. Just makes a point. Later.
I think the last person like really that they talk about that had was able to control magic and really keep control over the bad spirits that come along with magic, supposedly, was King Solomon. Because I think it talks about King, like, because even when you start researching a little bit about witchcraft and stuff like that, it talks about the keys of King Solomon. But somewhere along the way, like King Solomon had, I guess, God with him, so he could control those evil spirits. Where now the books of King Solomon, they supposedly have been tainted, and now those who go after those keys to learn that type of magic, I don't know. I've never done this, so like I'm just say this is just from my research, but they are not able to control those spirits. And when you look at like Thoth and stuff like that, he talks about magic in the Emerald Tablets. I think there's a lot more to all this than what we really know. I mean, I think I talked to you before about when it comes to religion, my biggest problem with organized religion is that it's controlled by men or women, just controlled by humans, really. And humans can do evil things, which means that it's easy for them to manipulate others. And when you look at the Bible and you look at the Catholic Church, they've omitted things from the Bible. So we don't actually have the full picture.
Right.
And we have to start looking at other things like the Dead Sea Scrolls and looking at other things and start piecing stuff together. And really, what is faith if it's not partially magic in itself?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have faith in order for something to come about. Like, how do you move mountains without faith, right?
Like Star Wars, using the Force.
Isn't the Force magic?
That's what I'm talking about. Give me some of that.
But I do believe that if you believe in the aspect that we are energy beings and everything is energy, if one learns how to manipulate energy, would that not be considered magic?
Could say so. Tesla, not the car, the man.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more to it. I think I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot of things for us to learn about, but I think there's also good and evil there. So I think you have to be careful where you walk if you do decide to explore that area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have anything else that you want to kind of mention about this?
With the magic, not
or any of it.
With the magic, I think the interesting thing is just thinking about movies and the different movies I've seen with magic, good and bad in them throughout all my life. You have Disney TV shows that are showing witches and witchcraft in a very positive light for the most part. You have some great movies. I'll never forget the Louis Cypher character, played by Robert De Niro. Did just this amazing job.
Devil's Advocate.
That too, but no, he was in another one with Mickey Rourke, and
I don't think I remember that one.
dude, it's an old movie, and I can't remember. I think I could find it, but lots of black magic in there, and yeah, you find out throughout this movie. Yeah, I actually don't want to ruin it for you. You should watch that. It's a great movie for your scary movie per day for October. Angel Heart was the name of the movie.
Okay.
Angel Heart, and oh man, it's so good. It like the twist at the end is like, oh yes, thank you, Jesus. It was that good, but that was absolutely dark blood magic in that movie, and some of the different pieces there, though, it's it's very interesting to think about. To your point, how we, the people in power, if you will, have used it and manipulated it as, whether it's good or bad, to their liking, and to make it feel evil when it suits them, or make it less fearful when it doesn't.
Would you say, I mean, I could be totally wrong here, but would you say that maybe even though the elites have utilized it and used it, the so-called elites or whoever, whatever you want to say, but maybe we've become so inundated with like black magic or satanic things where we don't even really realize it anymore, and that we might be finding ourselves more in a spiritual battle nowadays?
That's entirely possible. You can think about it, another, just not spiritual, but what goes very closely with it, mental, spiritual health, mental health, if you will. We're like a huge problem with the mental health right now. So if you tie that to spiritual health as well, yeah, it could absolutely be the case.
Something to think about, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, talking about like TV show, like obviously I do like my horror movies and like scary shows, and it's kind of weird because I feel like I have a hard time sometimes walking between like I do believe like there's a higher power, and I do believe that there's good and bad and stuff like that out there, and there's like but it seems like some of the coolest shows, which they're dark and they really like. I watch them afterwards. I'm like, maybe I really shouldn't have watched that, but it was kind of a cool show. For instance, like you talked about like Disney. I don't think it was Disney. Maybe it was Disney originally that did like a Sabrina show.
Okay. Yep. Yeah.
But Netflix came out with a newer version of Sabrina, and that one was like super dark.
I was gonna say, yeah,
like that's very like satanic and super dark. But I was like enthralled by that show. I'm like, whoa, this is cool. This is awesome. Oh, I wouldn't say it's awesome, but it was definitely creepy. And I'm like, I mean, it was definitely like entertaining, but on the creepy side. And I'm just like, now that I think about it, you think back about it stuff, and you're like, what is this really like? As an adult, okay, it's fine to watch but what is it teaching kids that watch it?
Oh man, magic is cool and powerful.
maybe it's giving like young impressionable minds the wrong message.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's one of the biggest things with TV in general that we have to be very careful about. Everything from just simply violent movies to morally questionable movies to unhealthy movies. As to your point, yeah, should a kid be watching a teenage witch casting spells, doing evil, and thinking it's cool? Probably not.
I mean,
now on the flip side, what we do in the shadows, man, when you see a couple of foolish vampires doing just awesome, crazy stuff, like vampires are cool, like sign me up.
Yeah, you're like those kind of vampires.
Yeah, right? This guy with the F word bleeped out right there. But man, dude, like 2 episodes ago, wasn't it not a riot when the Baron's in the little like car and he's like, I'm controlling it with my mind. And the lady's holding the remote, like, I got him. And then on the dog, and then the dog turns and he flies off. I was dying. And then, oh man, yeah, I got my favorite line. I'll tell you after the show because it definitely has a word that needs to be omitted. But Yeah, dude, it was a riot.
I thought that was a good one, but I really liked the one afterwards with the siren.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And she's a hideous bird.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the end, I know.
The Indian was like, guys, can you give me a few minutes here?
Yeah, and couldn't covers the radio. Yeah. Lordy. That's all I can say. Lordy. I really loved her. Dude, it's just a riot throughout, though, where he's about to get cooked with his buddy, and he's like, I've got one word that comes to mind. And he's like, what's that? He's like, bat. Flies off, goes over to Best Buy. Like, it's just awesome. Guillermo, come here.
Guillermo was like, you don't want to buy that. No, I want to buy it.
Yeah. Tell me about this Dolby 7.1. And I don't want the 5.1. The 7.1
Dude,
word.
would I really hear the difference between the 5.1 or 7.1? Well, so you tell me I would. So yeah, give me the 7.1.
He rolls out with 2 flatbeds of stuff, and Guillermo's like, hey, we're supposed to be taking care of. The guy's like, oh.
Yeah, that was a good show. It's a funny show.
It was. Yeah, well, and then the little doll, dude, that thing was evil. I think I would have let that thing find a resting place, like, or found one for
Oh
it.
yeah, exactly. It is a it's a funny show.
Nando looking at Guillermo. Guillermo's like, I don't think she wants me to come. And Nando's like, I am not being alone with her.
She's having arguments with herself. I'm not going to be around a crazy woman with all alone. You're coming with
you're
me.
coming with me.
Every guy knows this.
Oh my god, it was so funny. It was just so funny. You're right. That was a great episode. It really was. I don't know why. The one before that, though, I literally watched 3 times in a row because I just couldn't get over the Baron. I thought I was digging up. It turns out I was digging sideways. Wait, my arm. And then he's a pretty good vampire hunter. How do you know? Well, he killed you, Gene. They're all like, no. What? Eugene, he killed Eugene.
It's a funny show. Like if you've never watched What We Do in the Shadows, I would definitely recommend watching the movie because that movie's hilarious. And then definitely watch the TV series. It's a funny TV series.
As well.
But it's more vampires than not really witches. But
right. This last couple of episodes though with the doll, and then the earlier, I think it was the first season when they bring up their ancestors because they have questions, witchcraft there. And I thought it was great that the one guy was
sorry. This brings me back to the fight.
Fury Wilder.
Fury Wilder.
Yeah.
So, anyways, if you go back and you watch the that interview I was talking about, Fury tells Wilder that he fought him in Dusseldorf, Germany, which was Klitschko. Klitschko uses witchcraft and other things like that.
Oh, really?
Wilder also uses witchcraft and things like that.
Oh, really?
And Fury talks about how he believes in the one true God, Jesus Christ, and all that.
Yeah.
And he's like, I fought you in Dusseldorf, and I beat you there. And that's why I said, if you go back and you watch it, he never fought Wilder in Dusseldorf. So he was talking spiritually that he fought evil spirits in Dusseldorf, and he beat Klitschko, and then he ended up being Wilder.
Yeah, you got to admit, Tyson Fury does not look like someone you would expect just to be knocking people out left and right. But man, he does. Like, granted, Wilder lasted 11 rounds, pretty impressive. But even so, like, Fury's just a beast.
Yeah, it's a very, like, if you haven't watched, like, for anyone who's like made it this far into our show, if you have not watched that interview, I highly suggest you watch it because this kind of goes back to my question to you. Do you think that it's possible that we are fighting a spiritual war nowadays?
I think, for me, the answer is yes, but I do strongly tie it to the mental piece because I think for you to be strong mentally, you most likely are strong spiritually and vice versa. You mentioned faith being the prime indicator. A lot of people that I know that have great faith, are the ones who are strong mentally and spiritually. They don't fear Satan. I'm not saying they're always the guys or gals. They're not always doing 100% great things. We all do some wrong. I like to go 4 miles over the speed limit when I'm given the chance. So, I break some little lines. I cross some lines as well. But the spiritual piece there is, I think they're not taking away from other people, or they're adding more than they're removing, and that's a big piece. And it's tough because one of the times, from time to time, when I find myself in a spiritual battle, literally the one thing that comes to mind when I say that, or when I think that is, the thought is, and this is twisted, but in the negative sense, I'm using it, well, God helps those who help themselves. And, like thinking about, I'm going to take that extra cookie, even though it's 1 cookie per kid at King Soopers. And I'm like, I'm a big kid. I'm going to take 2 cookies. And like, what I think is like, that's wrong, because they ask you that just to take 1. You could also say it's wrong because I'm not truly a big kid. Some people think I'm a grown up. Nah, man, you ain't fitting here. But the thing is though, okay, that's the thing is like, that would be what a pirate would say. God helps those who help themselves,
Well, I think what they do say that, but I think what it kind of goes along with is that there's like a whole theory about like works versus faith, right? Like if you just have faith, doesn't mean necessarily like God's gonna like accept you into His kingdom, apparently, right? Or if you just do works and you have no faith, that's equally as bad.
Yeah.
And I think the best I've ever heard it being stated is like, work like everything depends on you, have faith like everything depends on God, and then you'll meet somewhere in the middle. And I think that's kind of like, God helps those who help themselves. Like God, like if you just like don't do anything all day long, God's not just gonna like have like people just give you money and food.
Right.
Like you have to put in work.
It's true.
So you got to work, but you also have faith that it's going to turn out right.
Yeah.
So it's a dual factor there.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It's just, that's like the one time I'm like, man, am I spiritually healthy? I took 2 cookies. They were delicious.
Like I think we all have a with energy, right? Or there's a positive and negative. There's good and there's evil. So I would say that, I think it's always going to be an eternal battle. I mean, if you believe that we are all energy beings, which it's a scientific fact that we all hover on a frequency. So we are energy beings. There's there's protons and was it neutrons?
There's neutrons, protons, electrons.
Yeah, but there's positive and negatives, right? I guess that's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, electrons versus the protons.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So obviously, with that, you're going to have good and evil, and you're always going to have an internal battle going on.
Yeah, very true.
And I think if you, once again, this is where I'm going to end this at least for my part, and then if you want, we can do the wrap up. But I think if you understand that we are energy beings and we have the capability to manipulate energy, then I think one could use magic to manipulate other energy.
I don't think you're wrong.
So honestly, I think I've always thought about this is like I guess I have a little bit more here, but one of the craziest things.
I'm not going anywhere. No, I'm all yours tonight.
One of the craziest things I've always thought is like, if you can, I'm not sure if you can get your electrons or whatever to move faster or slower. I think it's faster. You could pass through a window.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ultimately, matter moving so fast. They actually do a really good job in the TV show about Flash, kind of explaining that for anyone who just takes a little bit of time and thinks about the pure possibility of physics. It is really possible that if something is moving so fast that, yes, it's moving faster than the other protons, neutrons, electrons, the other matter around it, that theoretically, it could pass right through it. It is totally
Well,
possible.
first of all, like a glass is a liquid.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you are going fast enough, because it's like in a very slow moving state, so if you can move fast enough, you could pass through that liquid without it really disturbing it.
Yeah, well, and it doesn't even have to be a liquid though, because you're absolutely right. Glass.
Or it could be a wall.
Yeah, well, it could be anything. That's the thing is a wall, a window, wooden door. Any of these things also are made of matter that have protons, electrons, neutrons that are moving. And so it's not the wood itself. You break it down to the carbon and everything else in the wood that is having all these pieces moving. And yeah, if your pieces are going faster, theoretically, I think it's like 1 million times the speed of light. 100,000, something like that, it can go right through it.
And I was watching, I don't remember what movie this was. It was either a movie or a TV show, but they had like I don't know, I think like 4 different things where it basically creates a doorway by doing that, by moving and making the particles go super fast to where you can pass through it.
Yeah.
And then you take off the things and then it
Closes it
solid.
up. Yeah.
Yeah. So like they're able, like it had to do with bank robbers. I just know they were able to get into a safe or something by using this technology.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, they've done some great movies about it too. Tenet.
Tenet, that's a great movie.
Tenet's kind of that same piece of, and physics, using physics to manipulate time and space. And yeah, I watched that movie and I'm like, oh my God, this is the guy from the vampires versus the werewolves. Oh my Lord, am I really going to watch this? And at the end of that, I was like, dude, that guy made the movie.
You think the black guy made the movie?
Oh, he was great too. But for me, at the end,
Oh yeah, I guess whatever. If they haven't seen it, whatever. Spoil alert.
Yeah, is when
He's like, we've always known each other.
yeah, dude, awesome, literally awesome.
I agree. All right. So with that, I guess we'll go ahead and close up.
Yeah. So again, we have the Isle of Skye versus the Oban Bay, the Talisker versus, and this is a select reserve again. This is a few alcohol percentages higher, 45.8 versus 43. The Oban though was our victor. I don't think there was any question. The House Greyjoy did fall to the Night's Watch.
All right. It sure did. Anything you want to say to the peeps?
Thank you guys for watching, especially those of you who continue to watch and give us feedback. Truly appreciate it. Please continue to do so. Don't worry about hurting our feelings. Actually, if you hurt our feelings, we'll probably take more action than not. So, but we really want to continue to make this show great for you guys. Make it fun. Let us know what you want to hear. Give us some ideas for some subjects as we roll out of the Game of Thrones, which will quickly come to an end, like way sooner than we probably would really want it to.
Take 3 more weeks.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Once that piece comes to an end, we want some great subjects, and we've got tons of ideas. But let us know if there's something you want us to touch on or go into great depth with, because we're totally open to that. We love learning. That's part of the point of the Smarter Challenge, is giving us a chance to really think, okay, where was witchcraft? Okay, it's in the Bible. So, how long ago is that? Well, you're talking 750 years before Christ. So in a minute. But learning these different pieces and aspects and giving us a chance to grow as well and really have some great conversation while doing it with great Scotch.
Thank you.
I just thank you guys.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone once again. Please give us, if you like our show, give us a thumbs up. Like us and give us if you haven't done so already, subscribe. Please subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. And once again, this show is just as much yours as it is ours. So if you have any great ideas, like Jesse said, please let us know. Drop in the comments down below if you made this far, but if you did make it this far, drop some comments down below about what you think about witchcraft or whatnot, or if you have any thoughts about it, good, evil, otherwise, your experience with witchcraft, if you've come across it at all. And with that, you can find us on YouTube, Rumble, audio-wise. We're on Podbean, Amazon Music, Audible Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. And with that, thank you, everyone, and have a great night. Cheers.
All right. Cheers. Life is great.
Life is great. Oh, yeah. And we'll be back here, same Scotch time.
Same Scotch channel.
We hope you enjoyed this evening's episode of Scotch Hour. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you have not done so already, please become a patron member with memberships starting as low as $1 a month. Thank you, and hopefully you have a wonderful evening.